little bit of a change of scenery this morning. I was hoping actually for a bit of sunshine, you know what I mean, and a nice sunrise over London, but yeah, bit foggy, but yeah, why not? I thought, you know, it was a thought that counts, maybe next time. So, obviously West Ham in a fair bit in the news, as we know, we're heading for a huge summer ahead with significant change at the club. That's with obviously the manager. We've got Julian Lopetegui's about to take over from Moyes. That's going to be confirmed after the Man City game. Then you look at the backroom staff changes, which is going to be quite significant, I think. ex-JWP employee has provided an update on that. We're going to do a little bit of a separate video on that one. But it looks like Mark Robson possibly may be retained. He's one that possibly may stay, but it looks like the others will probably go. Goalkeeping coach, that aside though, he may well stay as well. But we're looking at a huge amount of change, and of course then you've got player incomings and outgoings. One thing that is a big factor for me for next season, which they really need to get right, which I think they've got wrong for this season, was the captaincy. I've sort of stressed this a few times. I don't really want to keep sort of sound like I'm digging out Kurt Zouma, because it is harsh. At the end of the day, he was given that role and that responsibility by Moyes. I just don't think he's the right man. I think we've seen it throughout this season. He's just not really captain material for me, anyway. I don't see a leader there. When you go back and look at previous captains before him, Mark Noble, you know, I'm talking about recent history here. Mark Noble was an obvious leader at West Ham and was a great leader. You know, you could see it in him. He had that personality. Obviously, had been at the club for a long time. Been our captain for quite a few years as well. So when his time at the club was coming to an end, Declan Rice sort of stepped into his shoes, was sort of effectively taking on that role anyway as captain. So when Mark retired, it was obvious. It was an obvious change and it was seamless, wasn't it? Declan Rice slipped into that position straight away. Of course, we only had a year of him as captain, officially captain, before he then departed for Arsenal. So we've had a fair bit of turnover actually when it comes to captaincy, right? And I don't think that's helped things. Kurt Zouma was a strange appointment. I think we can all agree. If you go back to the videos we did at the time, you don't have to, of course. I'm not insisting that you do, but you can. They're there. Talked about Zouma's captain. He was a shock appointment. I don't think many expected him to be, even in the run-in, to be captain. He's never come across to me like someone who's a great leader. He's someone that comes across quite likeable. I imagine quite friendly with everybody, but I don't see a leader. I don't see someone that grabs the reins. I don't see someone that, when we're in trouble on that pitch, that is trying to rally the troops and trying to calm situations down. I just don't see it at all from him, actually. That's not to say he's a bad player. I'm trying to knock the character of the guy. I'm really not. I know he's had his issues, and the fact he's come back and handled things pretty well. But ultimately, I've just not seen that captaincy side of him, really. And I think it's been a factor this season. I think if you look at some of our performances where we look at this hammerings, that's what David Moyes keeps getting hammered for as well, and rightly so, in terms of the drubbings we've taken this season. Many times we've conceded more than 5 goals, as we well know. Most recently, of course, against Chelsea, against Zouma's former club. You've only got to look at the highlights of that. You know, you haven't got to watch the whole game. Just go back and look at that game and look at our captain and how he's handling the team, how he's handling the situation. It's just not good enough. It's just non-existent. You know what I mean? And it's a change we need to make. Also, Zouma's too injury prone. You can see that he's really struggling now. We need to move on from this. We know for a fact that the back line is something that's a huge priority, as is a striker and a winger. I'm sure we hear that every transfer window, but they are the priority position. So I think they're going to be looking at a new defence. Max Kilman's a big target for West Ham. I think this summer, someone's going to be heavily linked. I mean, the fact that he's worked under our new manager anyway at Wolves previously, and we've been heavily linked previously now, haven't we, for the last couple of transfer windows. I think that's one that we're possibly going to push on. And also Gary O'Neill announcing that Wolves are going to need to sell players this summer to do any business. So it's more than likely that we're going to be pursuing that one, I strongly believe. And I think as well, there are going to be a few other players we're going to be after in terms of our defence. So Kurt Zouma's long-term future anyway is questionable. I mean, and I'm just talking about his general injury status at the moment, or the status of his knees, which should be more specific. So then it brings on to the captaincy. So basically the Athletic have now reported that the club are now looking for a new captain, most likely. James Ward-Prowse is the early front runner, early candidate. Now, this one's I'm a bit sort of mixed feelings about this, right? I've actually been pretty pleased with Ward-Prowse for his first season. I think he's got 7 goals, 7 assists. I think that's pretty good going for a midfielder from their first season. I think it's been good. I found at times he's been slightly inconsistent, but I do feel like he's been dropped in. I mean, some of the partnerships in the midfield have struggled. Him and Souček have not been a good combination. So I do feel for him in that regard. My only concern I've got with Ward-Prowse as captain, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be disappointed. If Ward-Prowse was going to be captain, I'd get that. I think he comes across, he works very, very hard. He's got that kind of, that spirit about him that you think, yeah, that's what I like to see in a captain. He gets stuck in, and I can imagine it's a pretty decent voice on the pitch in terms of what we need. The only concern is his age. That's my only gripe with this, is because he's 29, and as I've just said, this turnover of captains isn't great. We don't want to have to keep every season we're changing our captain. So I would prefer someone younger, personally. I'd like to know your thoughts on it, what you think. I still think it's up for debate. It's certainly something I don't think the club should be rushing to announce or to sort out quickly. I'd rather them get the business done this summer, get them in pre-season, see, start sussing it out, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a captain that's a bit younger, that's going to be looked to be at the club for a number of years, I think that'd be better suited for West Ham. But as I say, that's not to say I wouldn't be overly disappointed. Ward-Prowse, he does come across a decent lad, and I still think he's got a couple of years at least left in him at West Ham. But as I say, I'm fearful of the fact I don't want us to then change from Zouma, go to Ward-Prowse, and then the next summer then go, right, we're going to move Ward-Prowse and we're going to need another captain. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's ideal. I think we want to see a bit of consistency now, someone that's going to be in the role for a period of time. But look, it's going to be an exciting summer, isn't it? I mean, we've been sort of craving this, a new chapter at this football club now. I know that obviously we've had a successful period as such, but it certainly felt now that the time is right. But yeah, there we go. I think we're going to have quite a fair few videos coming out. I mean, we're going to be massively busy over the summer. Of course, we've got our preview coming up for the Man City game coming up soon. That'll be for our final game of the season. I mean, an interesting one, isn't it? Considering the fact that we could be playing we are playing such a significant part in the title decider, with Arsenal begging for us to get a result. It's quite funny, isn't it? Being having Arsenal now wanting a favour of West Ham after the season we've had with them. Jesus Christ! But yeah, there we go. We'll have some more videos as well to talk about a few other bits and pieces. Nye for Gerd as well, for his future at the club's being a main talking point. But yeah, anyway, let's see how we get on, and hopefully this weekend we get a decent end to the season, but hopefully not that good. Come on, your hands.